Hello, you book lovers, you people curious about the world. Welcome to Bookish. For 5 years now, we've been your virtual hangout for author conversations and for big ideas. I'm your host, Sam Dunn. Bookish is brought to you by the Southern California News Group and the Bay Area News Group, and everything we do, literally everything we do, is made possible by the subscribers who support local journalism. You're the reason for everything we do, so we thank you from the bottom of our hearts, as always. And a little bonus, if you're a Reader Rewards subscriber tuning in this afternoon, you're automatically entered to win a $50 gift card to the Arvida Book Company in Tustin, California, and just special tonight, a copy of the novel, drumroll please, The View from Lake Como by our featured author, Adriana Trigiani. The last time winner was, let me see, Jean Foster. Jean, we hope you're enjoying those new books. And if you're here, drop in the chat what you're reading. We'd love to know. And hey, if you don't subscribe to local news yet, here's your chance. If you're in Southern California, go to scng.com, subscribe to find your local paper. And in the Bay Area, go to bayareanewsgroup.com, reader services. You'll find out how good it feels to be a stakeholder in community news and at this time in history in a free press. Oh, and another little thing, if you're into repping your status as a bookworm, also check out our Bookish swag. And a quick note, if you've got questions for me during the program, ones that you want me to see at least, hit the Q&A button on the bottom of your Zoom toolbar. But if you just want to chime in or chat with your fellow viewers, use the chat feature found there as well. And don't worry, you're not going to miss anything because we're going to send you a link to the full program. And you can find that at scng.com virtual events and also on YouTube. So tonight, let's get to the fun part. You know, everybody I know seems to be saying they're listening to books now instead of actually putting their eyeballs on a page. I know I'm exaggerating, but that's what it feels like. So when my colleague, the assistant features editor and award-winning journalist Emily St. Martin, wrote this really fascinating article about convincing her very talented actor sister, Rebecca Lucas, to become an audiobook narrator, I wanted to have them both on just to chat about this whole world and what it's like to narrate books. So Emily, you guys, girls, hit the button and come on and join me. Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
We're doing well. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my pleasure. As I said earlier, your mother didn't have any ugly children, did she? She had no ugly children. Emily, you begin your article by talking a little bit about the audiobook industry. Anything you want to share about that?
Well, I brought a couple of stats with me. The National Literacy Trust released a 2022 report that found that 70% of adults who listen to audiobooks said that it made them feel less stressed or anxious. 72% said that audiobooks made their brains feel more stimulated. Audiobooks have actually been around since 1932. You put out a piece on this in the Premium magazine a couple years ago. And a 2019 study found that by the Journal of Neuroscience found that the brain's response to listening to audiobooks versus reading them is nearly identical.
Yeah, so if you're listening, you are reading, right? Your brain is taking in that information and that storytelling the same way. So tell me a little bit about convincing your very talented sister to actually do this gig. How did you do this? What happened?
Well, I am Rebecca's biggest hype man, and I'm always like, you should do this, you should do that. And I came across some article about how people were using, what's that website again?
ACX.
ACX.
Which is through Audible.
Through Audible to send in samples and get audiobook recording gigs. And I was like, Becca, to do this. Becca was made for this. Like, she's been reading my writing for years. And she's
been reading your writing to you for years.
To me. Yes, yes. Like whenever I'm writing something and I'm iffy about it, I'll have her read it to me and we'll workshop it together. And I can kind of hear my work in a different way when someone else reads it,
Yeah.
And so I knew firsthand how fantastic she would be because she had done it for me so many times. And I was like, you have to do this. This is your calling. She has a master's in theater and it just seemed like the obvious thing.
Well, that was my next question for Rebecca. What's your background that allows you to intonate with such silken syllables? I've listened, as I said, to a sample of your most recent book. I think it's your most recent book, American Narcissist.
Yes.
Yes. And it's just magnetic. Your voice is just magnetic. So what's the deal? Like, you're a trained actor?
I am a trained actress, so I have a master's degree in theater, like she said, and I acted in theater mostly. So I have a trained voice in that aspect. I have not done anything like this before. I've never done voiceover acting. So this was a totally new gig for me, but I have always excelled in speech and dialects and that sort of thing. So it felt like a good fit. But plus, I'm a giant book nerd. So
Yay, book
right
nerds.
up my alley.
Well, I mean, she's also really good at figuring out the technical aspects of everything. I mean, if you like sat me down and asked me to edit someone's audio, I would be like, just light the
You would be like, I'm a print journalist, honey. What are you talking about? Yeah.
my Luddite tendencies would take over, but Becca's like so competent in figuring out all the different aspects. And so she can edit all of her own work and she knows how to navigate all of the software,
Oh,
and
wow.
which is just like mind blowing to me.
That's true.
What's fascinating, and what I wanted to ask you about, Rebecca, was the actual process of taking on a book. Do you read the whole book first, and then how does that work? Would you break into parts? How does this work for you, the process of actually narrating an entire book?
So I do read the whole book first, and I try to read it for pleasure, kind of just to get an idea of what the book is about and the feel of it as somebody, who would come to it as a first time reader. And then I go back and I go through it and I highlight characters and pronunciation and, different things like that. So I go through it with a fine-tooth comb, just how I'm going to approach it. And then I narrate it and then I do my own editing, like she said. And so there will be times where I read something and I'm like, that doesn't sound right when I'm listening to it, because it's different, reading it versus listening to it. So,
Right.
so it's a long, arduous process of many reads. And
Well, I was going to ask, what is the typical length of, it varies, I'm sure. You narrate children's books as well as novels. What's the scope of time that it
I
takes?
would say it is about 3 times as long as the actual book.
Oh, wow.
10 hours, it takes me probably 30 hours to narrate.
So it's a whole week's worth of work, essentially.
Reading and marking up of the script and everything.
Well, and one of my favorite parts of her process is when she comes up with voices for the specific characters. Like with American Narcissist, there were so many different characters. And so we like workshop together a lot of the voices, because I had read the book too. And so she was like, what do you think for Baxter, the like stoner surfer character, and what do you think that, and so we would like go back and forth and try to get it right, and we would listen to different like celebrity interviews and be like, he feels more like a Tom Cruise in this, or he feels,
wow.
and yeah, so she's really good at the accents, and I feel like that's a big process of it as well, as you like narrowing down how you're going to capture a character in the voice
and just
that you do.
that like the casting of the character, like
Right.
who would play this, and I use either famous actors or people in my own life, or and I just have these certain, and the way that I do it is I usually visualize somebody that I know or have heard, and that's who, like I remember I was narrating a book and she wanted, her dream cast was, one of the characters was Henry Cavill. And I was like, okay, but he's American, so American Henry Cavill. And I'm like, okay, Henry Cavill. I'm Henry Cavill. That's how I did the voice. And every time that character came up, I would have to go, I'm Henry Cavill.
And you're doing this in a box the size of a closet, right?
Yes.
She made the box herself, which is a whole other aspect of it, which is
I love that.
Yeah. I
love that.
I built my little sound booth.
I'm curious, has the process of actually reading so many books out loud and spending those hours changed your idea of what a good book is? Or does it just confirm your idea of what a book is?
A good question. That is a good question. I think maybe a little bit of both. And I think it changes because, okay, for instance, the book that I'm currently narrating, the first time that I read it, as I said, I like to read it just for pleasure, kind of a thing. And I was reading it and I was like, this is horrible. This is the dialogue is killing me. Like, oh, like the over, just the
overwrought.
Yeah, it was just, and I was like,
Overwrought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then, but now that I'm actually narrating it, and I just, it's like I have a different point of view. And all of a sudden, it seems so much fun to me. Now it's less of bad writing and more of just like this fun, almost silly approach to, because it's I guess gothic horror, maybe not gothic, but it's like a horror genre. And so, but now it's like the first time I read it, I was like cringe. And now that I've read it a couple of times and I feel more immersed in the world, I think now the language makes sense and the dialogue, even though it's maybe not the best written thing, it makes sense for what it is. And so, there's a little bit of a difference there. So sometimes, reading a book, I'm like, ooh, this is terrible, especially when I first started, because I was basically taking any job I could get, and it was
Sure.
a lot of first-time novelists. And so there were some issues, and then also as you're narrating, you notice grammatical things or typos or, because it's like, wait, is it supposed to be this word or that word?
We've done that a lot where we'll call each other and she'll be like, what do they mean by this? And we're like doing a deep dive on Google of like, does that work in that context?
There was
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was. There was one word where I
It
was
was
like,
riffle and rifle and
riffle and rifle was
that was
one
big
that
one.
yeah. But there was one where I was like, okay, it's actually pronounced this, but in the book it's spelled like that.
Right.
So should I say it like that?
Oh yeah.
Or should I correct it to this? Like,
yes. Yes. It's like, do you correct the author or did they mean to make the character say it incorrectly? Is it like part of the
Oh no. Is it that the shtick of saying it incorrectly? We have two questions. One, Donna Lewis says we can't see the narrator. No, I don't think we can see the narrator. I'm not sure what that means, Donna. Another question, who hires you to read the book? The author, his agent, the publisher? That's a great question. Thanks.
all of the above. So
That is
through
very-
ACX, and like I said, a lot of them are first-time novelists. So through ACX, you can, as someone who has written a book, you can publish it and get it, narrated without a publisher. And so I have had several authors use me. I have also had publishers contact me.
My favorite story is the one that happened with Chandler, where, I mean, we were at a book release party that stretched on into the, wee hours of the morning. And he was like,
you don't have to tell us the details, but we can
no,
imagine.
like he was basically like, you should narrate my book. And she's like, okay. And then the next day she's like, any deals that happen after midnight are not a for sure thing. Like his publisher wrote her on Monday, and
And sure enough, oh, go ahead, sorry.
And then his publisher, okay, so I did that book and his publisher really liked my work. So he had me do a couple of other books. And so I've gotten work that way too, through publishers that like my work because their author wanted me to do it. And then I get other work through that.
Yeah. It's a weird kind of fame though, isn't it, for you as an actor, Rebecca? People recognize you're kind of a chameleon. You can meld into these different you're a Meryl Streep that nobody sees. So we're happy to have your face on air. One other thing that I just wanted to mention before I let you go and enjoy your weekend. It's when my books were being published way back in the olden times, children, in the late 1990s and the aughts. This is my mother. Emily knows that when I do this, I'm imitating my mother. Audiobooks were just not part of the conversation. And
Yeah.
now it seems like it's a necessary part of the publishing conversation. So
Yeah.
so live long and prosper as a narrator. Emily, thank you for bringing on your sister, and thank you for bringing attention to the story.
Thanks for having us, Sam. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Please come back.
Yeah. Anytime.
You know how much you get paid for being here, but you have my eternal gratitude. So
Yeah.
thank you.
I get it
Thank.
all. Back anytime. Thank you.
All right. Thanks and good luck, Rebecca. We'll listen for your stories.
All right, bye, everybody.
Bye. Well, next up, as you can see from my beautiful colleague, Emily St. Martin, we've got lots of interesting people around the news group, and most of them because, they're reporters. They went into journalism because they love storytelling. Most of them are also book nerds. So I want to introduce the occasional, perhaps regular, we'll see who I can get on, feature, What Are You Reading? Starring my colleagues at the news group. And the first up is Jordan B. Darling. Jordan is the education reporter at the Inland Valley Daily Bulletin. Hey, Jordan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Thank you for agreeing to be my first guinea pig on the new segment, What Are You Reading?
You kidding me? A chance to just talk about romance novels the whole time? I'm on
Oh,
board.
it's already a tease on what's to come. But first of all, I have to ask you a very important question. I'm sure everyone's wondering. Jordan B. Darling, is that your actual real name or is that your pen name?
That is my actual real name. It is on my birth certificate and everything.
Okay, fair enough. All right. So now tell us what you're reading and what you love. I understand you have a book group as well.
Yeah, so I have a very tiny book club called Bookish Beauties. It's my two closest friends in the whole world, and it's very similar vibe to what you and I are doing. We read romance novels, get together once a month, and just talk about what we read, how we felt about it. So as a club, we just finished 3 books by Rachel Gillig, who I'm actually meeting tonight at the Ripped Bodice. Incredibly excited.
Let's stop and just tell people who might not know the Ripped Bodice is one of the first romance-only bookstores in the nation. There are many others now, but they were on the cutting edge of that whole conversation.
Yeah, they're located in Culver City. They do book signings or just even author events. We've gone to a couple of book launches, and they're just celebrating their 2nd anniversary in their Brooklyn store this weekend, I think.
Brooklyn, New York, as opposed to Brooklyn, wherever else there may be a Brooklyn.
Probably.
So tell me, Jordan, I don't read, well, wait, that's not true. Any woman who's ever gone through high school has read a romance novel or two. I certainly read a lot of Barbara Cartland back in the olden times, but what is it about the romance genre that you love, and why do you find it rewarding?
I love a good happy ending. And like rule number 1 of romance, you have to have a happy ending. And that brings me so much joy. I get a lot of joy from reading out of how much I love my characters. Like when I'm introduced to a new character, they become a friend, and you want your friends to succeed. You want them to be happy and joyous, and being able to read books where they might have some turmoil, but in the end, it's like happily ever after and they get exactly what they're after, whatever that looks like for that character is just so rewarding and it's so cool, I guess. And I feel like romance really gives me a deeper view into just how people work, how humans work, how do human relationships work. It's a little bit of learning and a lot of just pure joy.
Oh, Emily's jumping back on again. Emily, are you jumping on to say something about romance novels? Or I think they have mistakenly jumped on.
No, it says
If
connecting audio.
you're connecting your audio real quick. She doesn't know what she's doing. All right, never mind. She's off again. Anyway, this really quick. Can you share again the titles that you're reading for our audience?
Yeah, actually I have them with me.
Yes,
So
please.
I just finished the Shepherd King series. One Dark Window is the first one, and then it's Two Twisted Crowns, which is her first completed series. And then she just released the first book of her new series this summer, The Night of the Moth. It's romantasy with gothic undertones.
Sounds interesting. Well, keep us posted, Jordan. Thank you for sharing what you're reading. Will you
Yeah.
come on again sometime?
Absolutely.
All right, stick around. If you can, share the titles in the chat too, so people can look them up.
Yeah, can do.
All right, thanks, girl. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye.
And speaking of great reads, somebody just mentioned they signed on for Adriana Trigiani, that's what's up next. USA Today called Adriana one of the reigning queens of women's fiction, and The View from Lake Como promises to earn her the title of Queen of Italian American Literature too. And I tell you guys, this woman will make you aspire to be Italian if you're not Italian already. She's the New York Times bestselling author of 21 books of fiction and nonfiction, and her writing has been published in 38 languages around the world. She's also an award-winning playwright, television writer, producer, and filmmaker. She wrote and directed the major motion picture of her debut novel, Big Stone Gap, and adapted her novel, Very Valentine, for television. And wait, there's more. She directed the documentary Queens of the Big Time. She's also the only person who's ever been on Bookish who has been awarded a knighthood by the president of Italy. So there. She actually grew up in Appalachia, though, and co-founded the Origin Project, which is an in-school writing program that has served more than 25,000 kids since its inception in 2014. I caught up with her at her home in Greenwich Village last week during a very, very hot afternoon to talk about her new novel that features a henpecked younger daughter of a big New Jersey Italian family who finds creative purpose and, yes, her heart's desire on a trip to Italy. So let's take a listen. All right, Adriana, God, it's so good to have you on Bookish. I'm so thrilled.
I'm so happy to be bookish with you, Samantha Dunn. You're a brilliant writer, and it's an honor for me to even be in your orbit.
Oh my God, you just made my whole entire year. Thank you so much. And I feel likewise. I wanted to meet you for so long.
We're gonna make it happen in person.
Yeah, we are. We got to. Listen, I loved this book. I can't even tell. Can you see the pages that I've turned down? I don't know if you can see them.
Yes, I can.
I loved this so much. And I want you to tell the story about the origin of this book, which involves your great grandmother.
Your great grandmother. My great grandmother.
Your great grandmother, a nightgown and red embroidery on that nightgown. Tell us about that.
All right. So, I had written this novel, The Good Left Undone, which was this giant historical.
Yes.
I looked around, and I loved it. And you tour around the world, you tour everywhere. And I was just reading the tea leaves and people needed to laugh. Yeah. And I thought, what story did I want to tackle next? And I loved my great grandmother's story, but I didn't want to set it in 1915. I'd already done these books and I felt like, and if you know my books, I change. I mean, they're never the same twice. And it's just the way I roll. I'm not a genre writer. Although they've made historical fiction, I don't understand what they do. It doesn't matter to me. But the people that read my books and people that hadn't read my books said, what are you doing next? And I said, well, I'm going to do comedy. I'm going to write a comic novel about a woman at the end of a rope. And I didn't really know what that meant, except I was thinking of my great grandma. So I took her story and set it in contemporary Lake Como, New Jersey. It would unspool as her life did. And this is the story of what happens to a woman when her life falls apart, including by things that she triggered. It's like she did it. She got divorced to the cutest guy in town and she still loves him. Yeah. And she couldn't find her way out of the basement. So it's the story of a marble draftsman who has to come out of this life that wasn't working and rebuild it, and the house that goes with it. It's also, you mentioned basement. She's literally in her parents' basement. Yeah, she's on track to be the maiden aunt of the Italian family. That's right. That's right. But lots of forces come into play to make her take the step to actually go back to Italy and discover a life. Did you love the fact that she'd been trying to get there for 34 years? Let me tell you, I related. And that's happened in a couple of your books, has it not? The women go back to Italy and to find themselves. Yeah. I'm not saying that it speaks to my life, but maybe it speaks to my life. I think it speaks to all our lives, because what women do, once we have children, it's like we devote our lives to our children. If there's a husband, whether there's a husband there or not, it doesn't really matter. the walked and weave of our life is sewn together by our obligations.
Yeah.
So she's smart. She knows I got a window here, and maybe it's the forever window. I happen to think her window's forever, but because I don't think there's anything wrong with making a choice that everyone isn't expecting you to make, and one that makes you happy.
I love that.
So I think sometimes to choose your personal happiness, you serve everyone you love more than you do when you're miserable and you're stuck in a role that you can't seem to shake. And I think in the book, she says this at some point, that if I don't figure this out, there's a line of people happy to tell me what to do with my life.
Yes, she does. Yes. I feel like we're in a therapy session here, and I did. Speaking of therapy, one of the techniques I loved, this is a very contemporary story that was inspired by history. But one of the things I loved is that Jessepina, our heroine, is in therapy, is in Zoom therapy. And she's asked by her therapist one after another to write about her life. And that journaling is a really effective technique in the book to give us the backstory on how she got to be where she is in the moment.
That's right. That's right. So I have a podcast called You Are What You Read, which someday I hope to have you on.
I was going to ask you about that later, but tell us about it now.
Well, it becomes important because, you get advertisers, and one of them was an online therapy company. So I got a free session, and from that free session, I invented my own therapy. So in my it's called TheraMe.
Yeah.
And she ends up having a different therapist every week. It's a rotation.
Right.
And you never see the same therapist twice. And at first she was a little bit upset by this, and then she just went with it. And each one gave her a little nugget that was helping her rebuild her life. And I really loved that, because I felt like, oh, how modern. We don't leave our house to go get a hot dog anymore. We have it delivered. So the same is true with therapy or any of the other things. I mean, if people could get their hair cut via Zoom, they would. They really would. They would never leave their homes.
It's true. It's true. Well, here we are on Zoom talking to our audience,
That's right.
Case in point. I wanted to say, as part of that, that writing that Jess does, it actually mirrors something that I have heard you talk about, and that is the importance of writing our own story. Can you talk about that? You evangelize very beautifully for the power of writing our own story.
Thank you for asking me about this, because this is like a soul mission for me. I really believe that every person that's born should at some point in their life write the story of their life. Mm-hmm. One of my most treasured possessions is my grandmother Viola. We gave her those books, Granny Remembers and all that, and there was nothing in them. You could have brought them back to the CVS. I mean, she didn't give a shit about that. But anyway, she ended up, my grandmother, which was so wonderful. She ended up taking 2 pages in a Ben Franklin notebook and writing her life story, which began when she was born and ended with my grandfather's death.
Oh.
It's the most valuable, insightful piece of literature that I could ever read. And it's in her beautiful Palmer penmanship. It's a gift. So it got me to thinking, sheesh, I wish I had every member of my family that I've lost, just that 2 pages, what they thought about things. And, but my job as a novelist, and yours, is we're supposed to take these stories and make something out of them.
Yeah.
We have to unearth the secrets and stuff. So with my mom and my grandmothers and all that, that's how I do it. Now I unearth. But what a gift to have my grandmother's 2-page biography. Oh, man.
I'll tell you, after my mom died, I went around her house looking for scraps of paper in her handwriting. And all I could find at one point was the grocery list that she had written, not even the grocery list itself, but the indentation of her writing on the next page. And I kept that, because exactly what you're saying, the preciousness of that, it's more precious than than the Franciscan ware collection. You know what I mean? It's
No, you're right. Or the family silver or the
or the
pearl,
family
whatever.
silver.
You know,
Yeah.
today I had two wonderful people in my home because I have a home library that's pretty tasty. When you come, we'll sit in it and you won't believe it.
I've heard about it. It's epic.
You know, there's signed books and, you know, it's just, I collect old ones, you know. And the gentleman asked me about this one particular book, and I said, and I tried not to cry because, you know, we're all sweating like animals in the heat. So I took it down, and inside this book, this was my mother's college literature collection, part 1, part 2, and they're big, thick things. And inside of it was in my mother's handwriting. It was big and beautiful. My mother, as her life went on, her handwriting got like this.
Mm.
That's a sign of anxiety. I mean, my mother isn't here to discuss it, but it said, it was a note to her friend. Hey, come down. We're having coffee in the such and such. See you there, Ida.
Yeah.
Ida in Italian, but Ida to everybody else. Just to hold my mother's hand before I was born, when she was 17, 18 years old.
Yeah.
Whatever you with the indentation. I mean, this is what makes life worth living. And if you keep digging, you find more of these things. Letters are really juicy. I have a lot of letters.
Do you use them? Do you use them in your fiction?
I am going to run out of lifetime to write all the books I want to write. But I have a box, a cigar box, full of letters that went to and from Italy from 1910 to 1927.
Wow.
And I'm pretty good at no, I'm not great at it. But, you know, I have to get somebody to like really look at my work. But I got to know people that I would never know.
Wow.
And there's mysteries to be solved. So yeah, I have a lot of books to write, but that's what brings me to the table to get going.
I love that. And let me ask you too, you know, some of our audience might not know that you started as a playwright, right?
That's right.
And you began in television writing. You worked on The Cosby Show, A Different World, other shows that people would remember. Can you talk about the move into fiction and what satisfaction prose might give you and you still do all the other things too. You're a director, you work in television. What does prose give you that those other mediums might not fulfill?
Prose is the foundation of the building.
Mm.
Writing is the thing. The rest of it is, because I hate to sit, I like to stand. Directing a film is standing, writing a book is sitting. But you must do a lot of sitting to get to the standing.
Mm.
I also, you know, my biography makes me a little sick because they put in everything that I do and then I approve it. So don't, you know, but I do it because men do it.
Interesting.
And as a woman, I'd be happy to say Adriana Trigiani is a novelist and she lives in New York City with her family. That would be the ideal for me. But I have an obligation to the girls out there to say, cherry pick whatever you want. I have interns in my back office right now. We're going to have 11 by the end of the summer.
Oh, wow.
Paid internship. And this is my way of saying you can do this thing. Because talking about something doesn't mean anything. When they see it in black and white, they go, oh, it's interesting. I wonder what she did. You can't do them all at once. Writing is a solitary journey. You're alone in a room, and I happen to love that. I appear an extrovert. I'm actually quite shy.
You heard it here first, folks.
Maybe not so much shy anymore, but I was born shy. That's for sure. So what I love about all of this is that I really believed from the time I was a wee tot, I could do anything I wanted to do. I am not afraid of a challenge, ever. So bring it on, baby. Watch what I'm going to do. Go ahead. Bring it. And therefore, I've had a very wonderful and hard-earned anything. Like,
Yeah.
I'm so excited when anything good happens in the course of a day. Anything, be anything. Because choosing to be in show business, and I include literature and show business, and people can kiss my, what, I don't care. Because what this is about putting words in people's hands. Charles Dickens was in the newspaper. People don't talk about, now it's classic literature. Where are you in the moment where you live, and who's telling the stories, and what are the stories?
I love that reminds me of something else I heard you say that still sticks in my head. You said something to the effect that only half of history is written because the women aren't there.
That's one of my classic beliefs. And I say it wherever I speak. Only half of literature or half of history has been written because women aren't in it. Half. The men make sure they're in it. But I have a line in my new book or new show. And I taught my daughter this. You need to know 2 things about boys and men. 2 things, only 2. Number 1, they never wear shoes that hurt. And number 2, they want to win. Women give away victories every single day. No, it's okay. I'll take less pay. I'll do this. I'll do that. And then women do it to women. And it becomes this thing.
Yeah.
How about we're not having that? How about that's not going to be possible here? So, you don't have to be some tough guy to direct a movie. You have to be a sensitive, hardworking artist who can communicate.
Who can be persistent as well.
And who can create beauty. Well, raising the money is one thing. It's like there's a dividing line in that job.
Yeah.
There's the raising of the money, and there's the writing of the script, and it's getting actors on board with the script and all those things. But the actual job itself is a sensitivity and an eye and taste. Courage and taste. What woman do you know who doesn't have those 2 things?
A good point. Yeah, we do. Speaking of movies and moving to film, can you tell us about the future? I know that The View from Lake Como has just come out, is just going to be out by the time we see this on Bookish. But I know it's got a future in film, and I know that there's something exciting with the audiobook. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Well, the audiobook, let's start with that. Penguin Random House Audio. Our reader, our actor is Mira Sorvino.
Yay!
She grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And I'm crazy about her. I just had breakfast with her. I'm crazy about her. And then on the film side, the agents are busy working away at it, but I will write and direct it, most likely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've already called actors and had them over. Of course, I don't say that. I shouldn't say that. Oh, who cares? No,
Who cares? It's a cat's out of the bag, babe.
it's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
Couple other things. Your show, The View from Lake Como, is that going to be national? Is it already sold out? Tell us. Here we are on the West Coast. What opportunity do we have for this?
I'm working with some groups out there to try to get the show out there. I'm not going to be successful in the first tranche of it, but we'll get out to you.
Okay.
I adore my California. Oh my God. When I came out, you helped facilitate me coming to the LA Book Festival, I remember. And then, thank you so much. But there's a lot of groups that I have an affinity for out in California, and I try to get to you, and I want to. And my publisher said they wanted me to stay on the East Coast, but I, of course, burned through those boundaries, and I'm in Ohio, I'm in Michigan, I'm in West Virginia, I'm going around South Carolina. I jammed in as many in the 24-city tour as I could. So the first 10, the week of pub, through the first week of pub into the second week, is a show, the Lake Como show. And it has, and I love a family act. And since I have for 25 years written about my family, I want my family on stage. So my brother Michael is a great musician and songwriter and singer. He's coming on with his band, The Predictables. They get their name from our cousin Violet Ruggiero, who served macaroni every Tuesday night in Rosetta, Pennsylvania. Predictable. And so it's comedy with music, but it's a show.
Well, I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait for you to see it.
A couple other things just before we head out. I wish we had all day to talk, but I know you're busy.
We're already besties, Samantha.
I know we are.
I'm already a super fan, so it's like there's nothing to that.
We're probably related through my dad, but anyway. There you go. Going back to writing your story, I want to leave our audience with one prompt, one thing that you would suggest they write into for their own story.
One prompt is get up earlier in the morning with a notebook and a pen and just write what comes to you. Soon you will have the story. Because your subconscious, when you sleep, will work it all through for you. There's a reason that when I started doing this 25 years ago, about 4 books were self-published. Last year in the United States of America, 3.8 million books were self-published. I think it's wonderful. People have a lot to say. And I'm completely supportive of, as the world changed, the world is changing, you know, either get on the bus or cry. I think we should get on the bus, and I think we should help be part of this new way of creativity.
I love that. Thank you.
Thank you, Samantha Dunn.
And come back.
Super fan. I'll be back anytime you want me.
Okay, I adore you. Okay.
I adore you more.
Cry or get on the bus, or get on the bus and cry. I don't know. That was great. Wow. Thank you everyone for joining us here tonight. And also thanks to our production manager, Julie Corlett. Julie, we love you. You're the Oz behind the curtain. We hope you've enjoyed the conversation tonight, and Bookish will be back next month with another lineup of great authors featuring thriller author Karen Slaughter. She's the creator of the Will Trent series, but there will be other guests as well, so stay tuned. Meanwhile, please enjoy catching up on our past episodes and check out our other virtual programs too, scng.com virtual events. If you'd like to share your thoughts from today or you have additional questions, please email us at events@scng.com. And hey, listen, if you want to give me suggestions on the show directly, if you have questions, if you have complaints, if you have ideas, reach out to me at sdunn@scng.com. And remember, you can always find great coverage on books in our newspapers every day, our newsletters, and online at all of our sites. Have a great night, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I hope we're going to see you next time. Thanks so much. Bye.